Yeah, give me a ride for a second. Just for a scene.
That could be the opener.
I really thought I was gonna bust.
I know.
So Jay is one of my dearest friends, and saw a beautiful opportunity when he sat down in the chair. Tell him the story of the chair.
Caleb's a nice guy. He's nicer to me than most people here, so I don't hate him as much as the rest.
It's a beautiful day. What a chair. What a chair.
Hello.
Jay! My wonderful friend.
This chair's really old.
Oh, my friend. You have no idea. I'm going to tell you the legend of what we like to call around here the chair.
Great.
So, are you ready to hear it?
Sure.
Okay. What you're sitting in, my friend, is really sacred ground around here, and as you know, we really value sacred ground. So it's 1958, and Professor Wingleberry moves in the day of the groundbreaking of the seminary here in this place. So, Wingleberry wheels this thing in right after the groundbreaking. And you gotta understand, there were some really important people at the groundbreaking.
Sure.
Yeah. So Wingleberry used this chair for a good 10 years. And that son of a gun was one man who knew how to sit in a chair. He did a lot of good work in that chair. So when Professor Wingleberry was about to retire, he went to lunch with his great friend and rival, apprentice, right-hand man in so many ways, and that is, of course, the legendary Professor Chester Grover. And we all know the work he did, because we have to read it.
It's the worst.
Yeah. But Grover took the chair. And the thing is, he had had his eye on this chair for quite some time. In fact, secretly at nighttime, Grover would go into Wingleberry's office and spin around in the chair multiple times.
That's terrible.
It was really something. And he would scream, "John Wesley!" just like that. Professor Grover would use this chair in multiple ways in the classroom because he taught in this chair. That's right, Jay. The very chair that you were sitting in for several years, Professor Grover taught sitting in this chair. Yeah, a lot of teachers like to teach standing up. Not Grover. He sat down. He would lean back and say, "Does anyone have any questions?" And several hands would go up, and he'd say, "Good, I'm glad no one has any questions." That's how he worked.
Figures.
And of course, we all know the book he wrote, and that is The Theology of Ice Cream. That book really changed a lot of people's minds about the ways in which we go to church and ice cream socials. So you see, Jay, I've given you the whole history of the chair. The 50s with Wingleberry, the 60s with Chester, and we move into the 70s. And Chester was still around, you see, but he had a little crush on the first female professor at the seminary, and that is, of course, the legendary Professor Plush Plume. And we all know her because her picture hangs in this very place. So, when Chester gave the chair to Professor Plush Plume, he thought it would win her affection. And then he asked her out to a delicious lobster dinner, and that is when she revealed to him that she was indeed dating Robert Redford. Can you believe that? You had no idea when you sat down. Right? Yeah. So, Professor Plush Plume could care less about the chair, but she was sitting in it that fateful day when Robert Redford gave her the call and said, "Sorry, now I'm dating Barbara Streisand. Can't date you anymore." And Professor Plush Plume became so upset that she took it all out on the chair. And you know what she did? She took this chair and put it at the dumpster. Yeah, that's right. That's exactly right. So we're into the 80s. Plush Plume has left the chair to die right there at the dumpsters. And wouldn't you know it, right before the trash truck came, a lonely first-year student came by who was needing a chair for his dorm room. Do you know who that student was?
I don't.
It was Emilio Estevez. And in this very chair, in his dorm room, he came up with an idea for a movie that would change Western civilization forever. You might know it as The Mighty Ducks.
Of course.
So Emilio graduated with honors and moved on, and the chair went to another student who would also change the face of the seminary, and that was, of course, Skip Strawbridge. And Skip used that chair not only in his dorm room, but for a favorite game among students in this very lounge. You see, Jay, even I do not know all there is to know about this mysterious chair, because between Skip Strawbridge and the next thing I know is what we like to refer to as the chair's lost weekend. No one knows where the chair was, but it was around, and I'm sure it was having an influence in some kind of way.
I don't know much about Caleb. I listen to him talk. It's a great way of making stories sound better than they probably really are. So it's really hard to fully buy this story. Probably making it up.
So we move into the 90s and the next use of the chair. And this is where an unexpected turn happens in the story. Because Chester Grover came back. Professor Chester Grover took part in the great 1993 debate between Chester Grover and Chuck Norris. We all know how that transformed this place and made all the papers, of course. He's buying it. But Chester Grover, Professor Chester Grover, used the chair in his theological argument to explain how ice cream and sitting down go hand in hand. It was really something. And then we move into... So the chair was displayed for a short period of time in a glass case at the seminary, but people tend to forget. And then it was wheeled down to this place. And in 2000, a television show would make its way to the airways that would change the world. We all know it, of course, as Survivor. And the first episode of the first season of Survivor was watched by a young man sitting in this chair in this room. And that, of course, adds a great deal to the chair as well. Now it sits here alone, just waiting on the next piece of history to be written. What do you think, Jay?
Great story for some people. It really happened.
Did it really happen?
Did all of that really happen?
Nope. It was Dustin Burrows' chair, and we wheeled it in here when he didn't want it anymore. See ya!
So apparently Caleb made it all up. Shouldn't be surprised, because that's how everyone here does things. They waste my precious time and lie to my face, behind my back, about it all. Just I just... He said, aeropuerto. It makes me angry.
It's been years. Who are you?
Can I help you?
I'm Professor Chester Grover.
The Chester Grover?
Did I stutter? Give me my chair. Give me my chair. Come on. Kids. Stupid. Seminary.
Could be true. There's really no way of knowing.